So we're in Daf Nun, the fifth paragraph of Gamliel, and the printer printed the whole paragraph of Mishnayos right away in the beginning. It's not such a big paragraph, but just to be Daf. But the whole Mishnah, the paragraph of Mishnayos is printed in the beginning, so that's all we're going to learn today, just the Mishnah. So I hope that it's not complicated. For me, it was a little bit complicated, but I hope that the chart might clarify it. So if we could just do through the chart, and then we'll learn the text inside. So introduction, before the chart even. Maybe just to clear with the chart a second. We know that if a man dies without children, so then there's a mitzvah of yibum or chalitza, and the brother and the husband's brother either marries the sister-in-law or he gives chalitza. That's the way that he releases her, and she's allowed to marry anybody else. And but the right, there's no such thing. Those are the two choices: either yibum to marry her or chalitza to release her. That's all there is. To give a get is not the subject. The get is only to a wife. The get is not to a yevama. And marriage is also not the subject. To marry her like a regular kedushin, and he gives her money or gives her a star. That also, with the Raisa doesn't have any effect. That's the wrong subject. That's only to a regular woman. So then there'd be an issue of kedushin to marry or get to divorce. But by a yevama, that's the wrong subject. You got the wrong department. But with Rabbanan, they did say that if yavam would give a get to the yevama, it does affect something. It means that he showed that he's rejecting her. So that's kind of it's not going to take care of the problem. He's has to give you chalitza, but we're not going to let him do yibum anymore, because the fact that he did affect some kind of a rejection, it looks a little bit like chalitza maybe. So we're not going to let him marry her anymore. She has to be released. She has to have chalitza. You can't forget that the rise is going to be either yibum or chalitza. And now with Rabbanan, if he gives her a get that has some Rabbanan effect, and it's not going to take care of the issue, you have to do yibum or chalitza. And also, if he does kedushin, if he gave kedushin, he said to her in front of two witnesses, he gave her a ring or shavar pruta, and he said, even though the rise said nothing happened. She's the yevama, she's not a regular woman. Also, it has some kind of an effect with Rabbanan, and we'll see what the ramifications are going to be.
We had some of that before.
Right, we mentioned Mamar before. This is called Mamar, and we spoke about it as if we know about it already. But here the Mishnah comes to speak about it as the beginning. And so just to get we'll start with the chart. We'll see later on what happens in the text. So here you have the yavam echad v'yavam echad. One man, one woman means he only had one wife. The dead man, the man that died only had one wife, and he has one brother. And scenario, now he should have done yibum or chalitza, right? That's what we really tell him, do yibum or chalitza. But he did a mamar and then get. He did mamar, he did kedushin to her, and then he gave her a get. So what would you say about him? So we're not going to let him do yibum anymore. Since he gave her a get, so we don't let him do yibum.
If he did mamar, probably he could do yibum, right?
If he would do mamar, he could do yibum. And it could be it's proper to do that. I think the way the Rambam says it, we'll see later on that the proper way to do yibum is that he shouldn't just come and have relations with her. He should first give her a ring, whatever it is, a shavar pruta, and say aret mukadeshesli, and then to have yibum. It's but surely it wouldn't interfere. It wouldn't be a problem. But the fact that he gave her a get, that's a problem. And now since he gave her a get, we're not going to let him do yibum anymore. So he has to give her chalitza. But that's also not enough, because is that enough? Yeah, that is enough. There's nothing, right? There's nothing. He gave her a get. The get took care of the mama. Whatever the mama was, he gave her a get. He gave her kedushin, he gave her a get. But he didn't take care of the main issue. The main issue is that usually he has the option of doing yibum or chalitza. Here we take away the option of yibum, only chalitza. Second case, what if he did mamar and then he did chalitza? So really, he did chalitza, but the rice he did chalitza and it's over, it's finished with. But the fact that he did do some kind of a kedushin, so we're not going to forget about the kedushin as if he did nothing. So with Rabbanan, he has to give her a get to take care of the mamar that he did. What if he?
Chalitza is the rice.
Yes. So that's what we said, that a minute before he came, that midiraisa is just even machalitza. The other things don't have any effect. But midrabanan, they said that the get and the mamar that he did have some kind of an effect. The effect that it has by the get in the first case was that we don't allow him to do yibum anymore. And the case over here that he did, the second case that he did a mamar, even though he did chalitza, but the fact that he did a mamar, we're not going to let that mamar go with nothing. He has to erase, he has to nullify that mamar that he did.
Could that
So
be like a zero?
everything's rabbanan. Okay, yeah. Well, the reasons could be
Could
because
a
it
zero
looks
because
like
somebody sees a
yibum.
mamar and then sees chalitza, they might think I don't have to forget the get.
It could be like you'll think that it's a regular. They'll confuse a regular kedushin with yibum. So in the second case that he did mamar and then he did chalitza, so he has to give a get in order to take. He did chalitza, and it's a good chalitza, but he has to give a get to take care of the mamar. And the third case is that he did mamar and then he had relations, boal. I didn't write it so neatly, but mamar and then boal, which is yibum. So that's fine. It could even be it's the best way to do it. Not only that we allow him to do the yibum, it could be that it's even lachatchila to do it like the Rambam says, first do mamar and then do yibum. So that's wonderful. So all that case was first that he did mamar. I'm not following.
I'm saying Yevamos is the Shabbat process.
I don't know. Side question. I don't know. So that's the first series of questions. The first series was about mamar, and then get chalitza or it tells you the halacha of each one. If you did mamar plus a get, mamar plus chalitza, mamar plus bia. So the Mishnah tells you what to do in each case. The case of mamar and get, he has to have chalitza also. The case of mamar chalitza, he has to have a get also. The case of mamar and bol is wonderful. The Mishnah is going to go now, just to zoom out a second. It's going to talk about four series over here. First, mamar plus, and then get plus, and then chalitza plus, and then bol plus. Hope that is going to be simple. All the possible mixes and matches, right? Here, he first gave a get, and then he did mamar. He gave her a get. He has a yivam, right? There's one man, one woman, his sister-in-law.
It just has a zika, right?
So he has a zikr. He's supposed to do.
Zika and he gives her a get.
He's supposed to really do yibum or chalitza.
Yeah.
But he decided to give her a get.
Okay.
Which, then he decided to give her a mamar. So, okay, he allowed them.
Somebody said, you can't give a get. He said, okay, then I'll do.
Then I'll marry her. I'll do mamar. So we're not gonna let him to do yibum anymore because he gave her a get, and he has to surely has to have chalitza. But the fact that he did a mamar, he has to give a get. Means he did the get before the mamar. So now he has to give a mamar in order to take care of the mamar.
Yeah.
So he'll have to give a get and chalitza. If you gave a get and then he had relations, I shouldn't have done that. With the Raisa, it's okay. With the Raisa, the second case, he did bia. The get is nothing with the Raisa, and he had relations, which is yibum. So really, he's married to her. But the fact that he rejected her with a get, so with Rabbanan, we don't allow him to stay married to her. He shouldn't have done that. That's not the way to. It's like he did a kind of a chalitza. Not that he did chalitza, he did a get. But we're not going to allow him to stay married to her. So he has to give her a get. This get is going to be a real serious get because he really is married. He's married. It's going to terminate the real marriage. And now, since we're not happy with this beer wasn't such a good beer. The fact that it was after a get, even though with the rice it is a good yibum, but we're not satisfied with that, and we say give chalitza also to take care of the zika. The zika wasn't taken care of completely. The fact that he gave a get before the beer, so it wasn't a great beer, it wasn't a great yibum. So therefore, give a chalitza also. If he gave a get and then he gave chalitza, so then he did everything. I mean, I don't know. He doesn't have to. No reason to have given the get, but it didn't. It ruined the chalitza that he gave out. And both of them went the same direction. He was pushing her away. First he pushed her away, we rejected her with a get, then he gave her the chalitza, which is the real way to release her. So he doesn't need anything after that.
You could put a check like you did for
Right, over there put the check, maybe because I was that the Rambam says it's the proper way to do it. That by the mamar and the ball, it could be even lachatchila, that's the way it's supposed to do it. Not only that it doesn't interfere, but it could be, I didn't see the Gemara yet, but the Rambam says that's the proper way to do it. Maybe got it from the Gemara later on. So here, I don't think there's any reason to give a get before the chalitza, but it doesn't ruin anything, you don't need more. The next case is going to be, he did chalitza first. Or we can even guess it by ourselves. If he did chalitza first, so it's finished. That's what he's supposed to do. So anything that he did afterwards doesn't have any effect. So if he gave chalitza and then he did kedushin. Now, of course, if he did kedushin as a regular, he didn't mean to do kedushin as a wife. He meant to do the kedushin as the kedushin of yibum. That's what Ma'amar, he said, I'm taking you as a wife of yibum. but that's nothing because it's after chalitza already. She's already released. There's no zika anymore. Also, if he gave a get, that's nothing. Doesn't have any.
He can marry her after Chalitza?
No, that's a lav of shir chivin shalabana shuv lo yivna. So he's not. He can't. I cannot marry her. So no, he did not that he can. The question is, does it take effect? Does anything happen?
And the answer is yes.
The answer is no. Nothing takes effect. The manvers are nothing. The chalitza means he released her. Goodbye. You know, he did a proper chalitza, and then afterwards, after chalitza, he did mama. If he would have done kedushin, that he meant to marry her, not for gibum, but for kedushin, a real kedushin. So then you could talk about it that it's chayve lavin and chayve lavin is tofis kedushin. We could talk about that, but that wasn't his intention. His intention was that he wanted to do a kind of a kedushin of yibum, mamar. He wanted to do mamar. So it's not just marrying her as a strange woman. He's marrying her as a yibum woman. So then we say that's nothing. She's already released. There's no
He
zika.
doesn't need to get.
So he doesn't even need a get for that even. Chalitza and a get. Also, once he did chalitza, it's finished. The get, nothing. And the chalitza, even if he had relations afterwards, he wasn't supposed to. And it's a chayve lavin. The fact that, but as far as there was no marriage over there. That's not a marriage. He didn't do it for the purpose of marriage. And the yibum that he did is not a yibum because he already did chalitza. So once he did chalitza, it's all over. And the same thing would be if he did bia. If he did bia right away, that was the yibum. His brother died without children. He married his wife. That's yibum. And then everything he does afterwards doesn't take effect. Of course, the kedusha now he's married already. The mama is nothing. The get. In this case, he's married. He's fine. Which case? Which case is a ma'aser nus?
The first case is called yibum.
Boil and chalitza. Oh, so what are we reading? Chalitza and boil.
Yes. That kind of that it's a chayve lavin that he's not allowed to marry her anymore since he already did chalitza, so she's released and it's her brother's wife and it's not chayve chorus. It's going to be. We said the chiddush is not a chayve chorus because the Torah says chivin shalabana shuv lo yivna, so it's going to be a lav. It's not going to be chayve chorus. But yes, but it's a lav, and they don't stay. They don't. It doesn't remain. But the bia doesn't affect marriage. So he doesn't need to get for that. And the last case was they did bia. The first thing they did was bia. So bia is yibum. He's married to her, and they should live happily ever after. Afterwards, he did mama. Doesn't have any effect. That's nothing. And if he gave a get, of course, if he gave a get as being his wife, so then he divorced her. But he didn't. He gave her a get as yibum. So we tell him she's not yevam anymore. She's your wife. So the get that if you gave a get for the chalit for the zika, there's nothing. So you're still married. And bol v'cholatz is also nothing after he's married to her. So he's already married. So the chalitza that he gives to her after she's married, he's married.
So it only works when there's no other relationship with that.
Chalitza works when it's before the yibum. But if you did yibum, then there's no chalitza. That's partial.
The second case there on the last group.
Let me just get this out of the way. Yeah.
What happened?
Which case?
With the get.
The get. So I tried to preempt the question that if he did yibum, Baal, and then he gave a get, so l'chari he divorced his wife.
Right.
So I think that the point is because he didn't give her a get as a wife. He gave her a get because of the zika of the yibum. He still thinks that the yibum is still around. So he's giving her a get yevamin, call it. He's giving her a get on the zika. So we tell him there's no zika anymore. You already married her. So there's no zika. She's your wife. If you want to give her a get as a wife, so okay. He's not divorced. I think he's not. It's nothing. Once he like the I use my own these words ain't so klum as my own words. I think the mission is going to say like we'll use the word einach chalitza klum einach habia klum that nothing happens. Once he married her, so he's married, and now she's a regular wife. If he wants to divorce her, so then he'll go through the regular way of divorcing, not the get of the zika. So that's the. Now I went out of order. I didn't do the order of the Mishnah, but I think it's simpler this way. So this is really in the Mishnayos, in the Gemara that we have printed, so it doesn't have Mishnah Aleph, Mishnah Beis, doesn't have numbers. But in the Mishnayos, we just did Mishnah Beis and Mishnah Gimel. And I skipped Mishnah Aleph. And we'll come back to it. Now we go further, and if we can see the text inside, maybe it's better to see the both charts. We'll see the whole parak on a diagram, and then we'll be able to go back to the text. Okay, thank you. So now we go on to the next case. So the first case with this first chart was that says on the top of the chart, there was one man, one woman, and he did two things to the same woman. So we speak about how he affected her. And now we get a little bit more advanced, and it talks about one yavam to two yevamos. Means that his brother had two wives, two co-wives. And we know as the Akdama to this whole issue is that we had already drushes to learn out that when a man has two wives, he only has to relate to one of the two wives. Either he does even to one of them, the other one is automatically released, or he does chalitza to one of them, and the other one is automatically released. There's no halacha to take care of both of them. Once he takes care of one of them, the other one is already taken care of. And here we're going to talk about the issues about mama and get and bia and chalitza, these four issues. If he did it to one wife of one of the two co-wives, and then he did something else to the other one of the two co-wives, how does that affect the whole scenario? So just to get the code, the color code over here, the blue is the case, and then the red is the psak. So just I hope that I made it in a clear way. But here the case was that one yavam had his two sisters-in-law. His brother had two wives, what we call Soros. He had two wives, and he should have just done yibum or chalitza to one of them. That's what he should have done. But he was a fancy guy, like Chaim David said, like he's a London, and he did all kinds of fancy things. And we're going to analyze what Allah is. He did marmot to both of them. I call it Rachel and Leah, whatever, two yevamos, and he did marmot to both of them. He did kedushin to both of them. So we're not going to let him do yibum to any one of them. We're not going to allow you, since he did, if he would have done marmot to one of them, we said, okay, go ahead, marry her. But he did marmot to both of them. So the fact that he did marmot to the other one, we're not going to allow him to do yibum to any one of them, because you already sort of married the sister, not the sister, the other wife. They're not sisters here, the other wife. So therefore, both of them need to get. But he didn't take care of the main problem yet. He has to give chalitza, right? David is good. Again, there were two co-wives. He gave marmot to what? He has to, the get is nothing. He has to do yibum or chalitza, right? Don't forget that the rice is always to do yibum or chalitza. These whole things are abundant that he mixed in issues with mama. What's mama? The rice is not. He didn't take. A get is not going to take care of the zika. So he did mama to both of them. We're not going to let him do yibum anymore. So he has to do chalitza. But both of them also need a get. He can't. He has to release the mama as if the mama did something. On a Rabbanan level, the mama are sort of connected them. So he has to release that mama. But of course, you have to do chalitza in order to get rid of the issue, the real issue. The real issue is that there's the cook over here. One of them you have to do to one of them. So he has to give chalitza. I think that there's no difference which one he does it to. It doesn't make a difference if it's the first or the second. He has to give chalitza to one of them. What if he did the pattern is going to go mama get ball chalitza, but it's going to again the same thing. That's to zoom out again. It's going to be again mama and one of the four get and one of the four chalitza one of the four ball one of the four. That's going to be the pattern of the Mishnah. So the first case was that he did mama to each one of them. Both of them need a get, and of course one of them needs chalitza. He did mama to one and a get to the other one. So again, we're not going to let him do yibum to either one of them because he gave a get. He gave a get to somebody. So we're not going to let anybody get yibum. So they're going to have to do chalitza. There is going to be a chalitza over here to one of them. But he has to give a get to the one that he did mama to. The other one got a get. And the one that he did mama, he also has to give a get to release the connection of the mama. Good? Everyone's happy. He did mama to one and he married the other one. He did yibum to the other one. So also we're not happy with that yibum since he did mama to the other one. So he's giving mama to one, then he's marrying the other one. So we're not going to let him remain with that one. This is a real get because there's a real marriage over here. He's really, really married to her. But we're not going to let him stay married because he gave mama to the other one. So there also has to be a chalitza. But also we need a get for both, the get for the mama and he needs a get for the marriage. He gave chalitza to either one. Anyone, I think by all these cases, I didn't see it clearly, but I think that any one of these cases gave chalitza to any one of them. And the last case is that he gave mama to one of them and chalitza to the other one. Even though it looked like he's gonna marry somebody, and then he goes to the other one, gives a chalitza. The chalitza is a good chalitza, and even though it was after a mama, the chalitza is a good chalitza. It doesn't need more than that. The chalitza is a good chalitza, but the one who got mama does have to get a get. No, any cautious? Is everything good? Everybody's happy? Is that what we would have said?
I'm confused why by mama he should give a get and not a chalitza.
The reason you give chalitza to get off a zika. That's what the only way to get off a zika is either by yibum or chalitza, right? Now the mama and the get are issues that they came in. The mama might be birabonan as if it looks like he married her. and the get is like Rabban looks like he gave a chalitza. So we look, we pay attention to it. We're concerned about it, but it doesn't take care of our issue. So surely all these cases have to have chalitza. And the fourth case, he gave chalitza, and it's a good chalitza. But the first case that there was a mama, we always tell them get rid of the mama. We're gonna say that there has to be a chalitza in order to take care of the real zika that is the midaraisa. But the fact that he gave a mama, we have to release the mama as if there was a kedushin over here. So we tell him to give a get. So in all these cases, wherever there was a mama, we tell him to give a get. And when there was a ball over here, also we say that he has to give a get, because even though there was a real yibum, but since it was the mama to the other sister, we're not happy with that yibum, and therefore we don't let them stay married. Then they need a get for that yibum, and also a chalitza in order, because the beer, we weren't happy with that yibum since it was done after a mama to the other one. That's good. We need the air conditioner, maybe. Whoever wants to adjust temperature control. Okay, the next case was that he gave a get first. He gave a get to one of them again. It's all going back on the case where there was two yevamim, one yavam and the brother who died had two co-wives, and here he gave one of them a get and one of them a get, one of them a get, one of them ball, one of them a get, one of them amar, one of them get, one of them chalitza. So what do we say? Good. So that's what happened. That's what we see happens over here. That in all these cases, there has to be a chalitza, the get and the get. So we don't allow any more yibum. So you have to do chalitza to one of them. In the case where he gave a get to one of them, again, we're not going to let any more yibum. And even though he did ball, we're not happy with that. And we say that one of them has to get chalitza, and the one who married has to give a get. Don't stay married with that, because since he rejected it, he's pushed away by giving a get. So we don't let him to do yibum. And if he did, he has to divorce her. Plus, there has to be a chalitza in order to rectify the zika, even though there was a yibum that was done, but we're not happy with that yibum. And yes, that's right. Since he gave a get to one, so the yibum that he did to the other one is not satisfactory. So besides divorcing her, someone has to get a chalitza. And if one of them got a get and the other one ma'amar, again, we're not going to allow yibum anymore, because he gave a get to one of them. Since he pushed away part of the family, so now we don't allow him to do yibum to anybody. And even though he started doing ma'amar, but we said no, he did a get to the other one. So therefore, there has to be a chalitza, and the one who got ma'amar has to get a get for her ma'amar. We're not going to be satisfied just with the chalitza. He also has to give a get for the ma'amar to nullify whatever connection that ma'amar created. He gave a get to one, a chalitza to the other one, so then the chalitza is a good chalitza. And
it's really, I see some of these are doubled over. It's the same case.
Which one? Where do you see two cases that are the same?
No, the one you just did, where he had a get and a mama.
Get this one
He
over
gave
here?
one, he gave A a get, and
And
he gave B a mamar.
Yes.
The other one, he gave A mamar, and he gave B a get. So the halacha is going to be the same, because it's just
it doesn't make a difference what the order. It
it's
doesn't make a
sorrow,
difference
so
what the
yeah,
order
who
is.
cares which
What's the
one?
difference what the order is?
It's just two
It
different
could be
things.
that it could be you're right. It could be the order is only going to make a difference over here by chalitza and by B over there. The fact that the chalitza was first is different than if chalitza was second.
Yeah.
It could be that you're right. In these cases, there might be some doubles that just come because of keep the pattern.
Yeah.
Nice. The next case is already that the first thing that he did was chalitza. So it's finished. So we don't care what he did to the second one anymore. Whatever he did afterwards, you don't care about that. It doesn't have any effect. And he's finished. He did chalitza to the first one. So the story's over. And also if he did bia to the first one, that was a yibum and everything's over. So we don't care what he did to the second one. And in this case of chalitza was first. And the one that bia was first, and just like we said in the beginning, that this is all talking about that there was one man and two women, the same halacha would apply if there were one woman and two men. How do you have one woman and two men?
Two brothers.
Two brothers, right?
Oh,
And
you each did something.
right, and really that's not the way it's supposed to work.
Right.
Usually, after one brother does whatever the yibum or chalitza to one of the wives, it's all over. But here, if it would have been yibum, like it says, if the first one was chalitza or yibum, one of the brothers first did yibum or chalitza, then the second one doesn't affect anything. But if it would be that one brother did ma'amar, the second brother did mamar. The first brother did mamar, second one did, all these cases could also play out. The scenario could play out also with having two brothers that did to one of the one wife. There was one wife, and two brothers acted upon the one wife. So it's going to be the same halachos.
With the two brothers, if one brother does Khalid, and there's two women, and one brother does, there's one woman.
If there's two women also, one brother is supposed to do something to one of the wives.
Mhm. And if he does, if one of the brothers does Khalitza,
So it's over.
is the other woman still his brother's wife?
It's his brother's wife, and it's going to be maybe even be chayv koros. That was machlokas if it's going to be chayv koros like it was once upon a time, or it's going to only be the lo yivna. But it surely doesn't allow it. It's only one act of building his brother's home. And so whatever we said about having one yavam and two yevamos, the same thing applies by having one wife that two brothers acted. One gave a get, and the other one, like once one of them gives a get, we're not going to allow the other one to do yibum either. Everything would play out the same way if you'd have two brothers that acted upon one of the wives. Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The beginning of the parak starts off that Rav Gamliel says, "Ein get achar get." So on this, even though we're already deep into it, we did the whole parak already almost, but the first words of the parak open up, Rav Gamliel says, "Ein get achar get." That he says that the second get doesn't have any effect after the first get. Now we have to talk a little bit more in order to know what's the difference. You said get and a get, so and you need chalitza. So you also hold you need chalitza. Rav Gamliel is not going to argue that you need chalitza in this case. What does he mean to say? Rav Gamliel says ein get achar get. Those are the first words of the parak. Rav Gamliel says ein get achar get. The second get is nothing. What is that? As far as we're talking
Maybe
about,
it means that like if you gave Khalitza to the first one.
no, not chalitza. We said ein get achar get. Ein get achar get. The words ein get. You're talking about something achar chalitza. We also say ein achar chalitza klum, right? Once there's
I was
chalitza,
going to say that if you did Khalitza to the first get, you didn't have to do Khalitza to the second get. Maybe that's what it is.
I don't know. You don't. Everyone holds you only need one chalitza. All these cases, I meant all these cases of this chalitza. That's meant chalitza to one of them. Need chalitza to one of them. No one's going to argue that you need chalitza to one of them. Rav Gamliel is not going to say that he gave a get, everything's over. It just means that the second get doesn't mean anything. But Tanakam also says that both of them say you have to give chalitza. So another aspect has to come in over here that we didn't talk about. We could have talked about in the beginning also. Besides the whole subject we've been talking about, what do you need in order to release her? That's what we spoke about. What do you need in order to release these women? There's also a subject. Do we look at it as if there was a relationship to the second one that he's, let's say, usher to her relatives from now on? Let's say if you gave her a get, you look at it like he's his divorced wife, his divorced yevama, that we said that you're not allowed to marry achos chalutzaso, achos, they wouldn't be allowed to marry achos grushaso. So do you look at the second one as if something happened over here?
Oh, I see.
So the Tanakama says that yes, that the second one, even though the first one gave a get, the second one's get is also a get, and therefore it's true. One of them they need a chalitza to one of them, but there's another issue that is this yavam allowed to marry this woman's sisters? Is it going to be considered like a chos grushaso or not? So that's where the issue comes in. Do you consider the second brothers or the second woman that anything happened? Rav Gamliel says ein get achar get. Also he says ein machar achar maimer. In this case, the first case we had over here, mamar and then mamar. Rav Gamliel says ein mamar achar maimer. That the second mamar is considered nothing, and it could be he's going to say also she doesn't need it. In this case, he doesn't need a get because the first mamar. So I don't know much about that yet. That's going to be the Gemara, but just the words I just stuck it in the green over here. That in this case of ein get achar get, he says this get is nothing and this mamar is nothing.
But you start talking about the Tanakama,
So I mean to say that the other sheet, the Chachamim.
okay.
Everything we said first was the Chachamim. The whole mission goes according to the Chachamim. And Rav Gamliel says he argues on these two cases. Maybe he argues on more cases. But we didn't say what he holds about get achar maimer, but bi achar maimer. Does he say ein achar maimer klum? Or he just says the words he says is ein ma'achar maimer and ein get achar get. Those are the words that he says. So meanwhile, let us put it onto the chart. Only put it by those two cases of ein get achar get. This get is nothing, and this maimer is nothing. There's also going to be one at the end of the parak of Mishnah. He said today, but at the end there's going to be one more shita that's going to come up. His name is Rav Nechemia. We'll come back to the chart to see where he's arguing on. But if we go now to the Gemara. So we can start the parak. So I more or less, I think we got the whole parak already. Almost. There's a little bit more to do. So we're not starting with the second. I mean, I'll try to put the chart. We'll try to do without the chart now. If this is the case of two wives or two brothers, it's never going to be a case of one. It's not going to be a get to the same man and the same woman. Those cases we didn't talk about, right? There's no case. But right away, Rabbi Gamliel is talking about. But when I started explaining, I started saying that I started from Mishnah Beis. Means maybe I should put on the chart again. I think I have to. 1 second. I just have to do something in order to get both down.
What was talking about has to do with how this person would relate to the relatives.
Right. That's gonna right. So let me. How do we do this again? I forgot how to do this. Okay. Oh, good. Get a little bigger. So this was the first chart that we spoke about, one yevama, and it's not the beginning of the parak. This is going to be the ketzad. Ketzad. This is the first chart. So we'll just read the Mishnah according to the order that it says it, then we'll come back to the charts. This is talking about two women or two men, two of the brothers or two of the wives. If the first one they gave, if one of them got a get or gave a get, then the second one is nothing. Or the mamar, also the second mamar is nothing. A bia also, once the first one did bia, this we also agreed to. That once it was a bia, that's a yibum. So the second one is nothing. It's not very for the second one to do bia, but it doesn't affect anything. And once the first one gave chalitza, so also the game's over, and the second chalitza is nothing. We argue on two of the points. We do agree. I do agree that after the ibum there's nothing, and after the chalitza there's nothing. The game's over after that. But we do argue that even after the get of the first one, the second one's get also takes effect. If the first one gave mimer, the second's mimer also does take effect. So this is all the case about two. You have to have two women or you have to have two men in order to even have the case. And now we go back to the simple case of 1 and 1. Ketzad. So the Ketzad is a little bit misleading. Ketzad sounds like what we just spoke about. Usually Ketzad means, what do you mean to say? Like explain the case of what you just said. That's not the case over here because this is talking about one man and one woman and he did two things to her. And now this would be the beginning of this. This is going to be this chart over here. Try not to make it. Okay. Here's the first case of Ma'amar. This is the first three cases. Case at Asamama Bivimto Vanasan Laget. Then you have Asamama Bachalitza. Then you have Asamama Bal. These three cases over here. So, case at Asamama Bivimto Vanasan Laget. To the same woman, he first did Ma'amar, then he gave a get. So we're not going to allow Yibam anymore because he gave a get. Tzricha Menu Chalitza. You have two Chalitza. Next case, Asamama Bachalitza. To the same woman, he first did Ma'amar, then he gave a Chalitza. So even though the chalitza was a chalitza, but we're not happy with the fact that there was a mama over there. There was a mama that wasn't taken care of. So we have to release the mama. Tzricha menu get. Also, mama, that's fine. Gets a check even, maybe. Maybe that's the right way to do it. So that was the first series about first doing mama. Now it talks about a get, and then something else, get and mama, get and bia, get and chalitza. So nasan get for us a mama. So we're not going to allow the yibum anymore because he gave a get. Tzricha get for chalitza. So you need a chalitza in order to release the real problem, the real zika. But the fact that he had a mama, so you have to release the mama also. So she needs to get for that also. Nasan get to ball. So he shouldn't. Now the rice is a good yibum, but he shouldn't have done that because he gave a get. Tzricha get for chalitza. So we don't allow him to stay married. This get is going to terminate the marriage that he really is married to her. But also, since the fact that it was a yibum after a get, we're not happy with that. We're not happy with that, and therefore we say that you have to do a chalitza also to take care of the zika. And the third case was nasan get for chalat. So then he did everything right. He doesn't have to do the get. He should no reason to have given the get, but it doesn't ruin the chalitza. In a chalitza klum, it doesn't. You don't need anything. And then next case is Arizi. Chalas v'asa ma'amar v'nasa and get to ball. First he did chalitza, and then he did one of the three things, either ma'amar or get or ball. Or if he did first bia, he did yibum, and then he did something else, and then asa ma'amar nasa and get for chalatz. Over there, even though it doesn't say oh the whole time, it means oh, he did either that or that or that. Either he first did chalitza, and then he did either ma'amar or get or ball. Another case, he did bia first. First he married her. He married. That was already yibum. And then he did mama, get, or chalatz. So in chalitza klum. So these words are a little difficult because it says two cases. It says the case of chalatz first, then it says the case of ball first. And then the Mishnah ends off. The psak is chalitza klum. What does that mean? It's only going back in the blue case. It's only going in the case of chalatz. This case of chalatz, that he did chalatz first. So then we don't care what he did second. Mama, get, ball. We don't care about all that because chalitza klum. Here, the Mishnah should have said also, these words should have been the psak for the blue case. And now, if he did bia first, if he did first yibum, and then he did something afterwards, either mama or get or chalitza, bia klum. He should have said that. But it's understood. You're supposed to understand it. That the same way, so also bia klum. Just to get the chart again. This is the case of chalitza, chalatz, and this, chalatz and that, einacha chalitza klum. Ball, and did any one of these three things, einacha bia klum. The Mishnah doesn't say it like that. The Mishnah says chalatz and one of these things, or ball and one of these things, einacha chalitza klum. But you also have to say einacha bia klum. That's what it means. So we finished the case of 1 and 1. All this was the case of 1 yavam and 1 yevama. As the Mishnah continues to tell us, on Amud Beis, Achas yevama, achas liyavam echad. Everything we spoke about applies both to one woman and one man, which was what we just spoke about, and also achas shtei yevamos liyavam echad. It also applies to 2 women and 1 man. That would mean that the dead man had 2 wives, 2 co-wives, and he had 1 brother, and the one brother acted upon both wives, and now. And here's also going to be again first all about mama being first, and then about get being first, and then chalas being first, and ball being first. So okay, so it starts Ketzad. Also, mama bazu. He did mama to both wives. He did mama to both wives. So both of them have to give a get because you're not going to let him to do yibum because he did a mama to both wives. So we're not going to let him stay married to either one of them, marry either one of them. So both of them need a get. But of course you need a chalitza because you have to release the real zika. How about mama bazu v'get lazu? Also, we're not going to allow him to do yibum. Tzrichas get v'chalitza. The one who had mama needs a get. The one who got a get, got a get. The one who got mama needs a get. And of course you have to have chalitza in order to release the real zika. Mama bazu or ba'al lazu. So with the rice he did a good yibum. But the fact that he did mama to the other one, so that ruins the beard that he did, the yibum that he did to the other one. So therefore, tzrichas beis gittin b'chalitza. Both of them need a get. The one needs a get for her mama. The other one needs a get for her marriage, that they really married, and that's a real serious get. But also, you need a chalitza. We're not happy with the beard that was done because it was done after a mama to the other one. So we make them get a chalitza also. One of them has to get a chalitza. Mama bezu v'chalas lazu, harishon l'tzricha get. The chalitza is a good chalitza. But the first one does have to get a get. That was this case over here. Mama lazu v'chalitza lazu. The first one needs a get. Is that all good? So that was all the first series about mama was first. How about if get was first now? Okay. Try to see how much we could. Get lazu v'get lazu. Tzricha say menu chalitza. We're not going to allow them to do yibum since anyone got to get, both of them got to get. So both of them need, so tzrichas ben chalitza means, of course, one chalitza. You don't need both chalitza. You just need one chalitza for both of them. One of them has to get chalitza. This we're going to come back to again because the beginning of the parak says, Rabbi Gamliel says, "Ein get achar get." The Rabbana and the Chachamim say that get does take effect, and really she'll be aser. There'll be an issue to her relatives. It's considered a gushasa. But as far as the chalitza, here everyone would agree that you have to have a chalitza. Get lezu u'boa lezu tzricha get for chalitza. The one that got married, it's a good midrash. It's a good marriage. But the fact that there was a get before, we don't allow them to stay married. And of course, you need a chalitza to, I don't know, of course, but we say that the beer is not considered a good enough beer, and therefore you have to do a chalitza in order to release the zika. The next case was get lezu u'ma'amar bezu. Tzricha get for chalitza also. You're not going to allow him to marry her because there was a get that was given to the other one, and you still need a chalitza in order to release the real zika. Get lezu v'chalas lezu einacha chalitza klum. That this was a good chalitza, even though he gave, no, doesn't disturb the fact that he gave get to the other one, and the chalitza is good. Now the next cases are easy. That chalatz for chalatz, so chalatz was a maimah nosan get to ball. Oh, ball. Oh, chalatz for chalatz. He gave one chalitza, another one chalitza.
Yeah.
That's this case over here. Chalatz for chalatz, or trying to drive at the same time. Not so smart. Chalatz for chalatz, so chalatz was a maimah, or chalatz for nosan get, or chalatz for ball. Again, the first case, he did chalitza first, and then to the second one, he did either chalitza, or to the second one, he did maima, to the second one, he did get, to the second one, he did ball. What's it going to say? What is it going to say? That einacha chalitza klum. It's going to tell us soon that once there was chalitza, the second one is nothing. And the fourth case is going to be that he did bia first, ball. He did bia to the first one, bia to the second one. Of course, he shouldn't have. Once he did bia to the first one, he's not allowed to marry the second one. He did, but it doesn't take effect. It just was like bia's nus. Or ball v'asa maima to the second one, ball to the first one, doesn't get to the second one, ball to the first one, chalas to the second one. In all these cases, einacha bia klum. Again, the Mishnah doesn't say so. It just says einacha chalitza klum, but that's really going in the case before about the chalatz first. But by the case of bia, we're supposed to understand that einacha bia klum also. It is a bit misleading the way the Mishnah words it. Why doesn't it speak out that einacha bia klum? But that's what it means to say. And the Mishnah ends off the same way that it started. Now here it's interesting how the Mishnah words it, because it started saying that this halach applies one yavam, two yevamos, and now it ends off that it also applies to two yevamos, to two yevamim and one yevama. That's why I tried to put on the chart that even though we started off on top of the page, we started off with one yavam and two yevamos. It also applies. The same thing would be to one yavam and two yevamim. They are two brothers and one yevama, and one brother acted in this way, and the other brother acted upon the same woman in the other way. The same issue if the second one has any effect. What? That's which case, there are many cases to talk about. I'm not sure which case you're talking about.
The brothers, Yevama doesn't fall because one brother did chalitza.
If the first one did chalitza, then the second one is nothing. If the first one did bia, also the second one is nothing. In the other cases where one of them did mama, or the first one did get, so then the Mishnah does talk about that. The second one does take effect. Now, if we go back to the beginning of the parak, just to scroll back to the beginning of the parak, Rabbi Gamliel said, "En get achar get, mama chamama." He was referring to these cases when we spoke about having hamama chamama, and the Tanakhama says that the second mama does take effect, and she needs a get. Rabbi Gamliel would say, "En mama chamama." The second one is nothing, and also by get achar get, he's going to say that the second get is nothing, and as far as releasing her, it's true chalitza is enough. But as far as is she considered a relative? Gushaso, it's going to be also to marry her relatives. So Gamliel says second one is nothing. And now, what does the Mishnah say further?
We have two chalatz was in the
Yes. Now, this Mishnah chalatz for us, mama, it's a good thing even to hold bit of places is also a feat. Now, these next words over here, I'll try to highlight it now, even though it's the wrong color I'm going to do. But all this, chalatz, all this I put in quotations over here. You see the quotation marks in the beginning and at the end. The reason why it's quotations is because it's quoting the Mishnah on Amud Aleph, the last case of the Mishnah, where it said all this. Here, from here on, from the blue and on. From the blue here until this, we can put quotation marks over here also. This is the quotation. Oh, it's going to do it over here, but okay. All this is being quoted again now. We're going back, we're referring to this part of the Mishnah. The Mishnah is talking about one and one, as we saw, that it's talking about one man and one woman. And it said that if he did two things, chalatz or maimar, or chalatz and get, chalatz and baal, or baal and mamar, or baal and get, or baal and chalatz. So it says that after the chalitza is finished and after the bia is finished. Now we're referring back to that Mishnah. It's a quote of that Mishnah. So here it goes. As if to say that which we said, chalatz v'asa maimar doesn't get to baal, or baal v'asa maimar doesn't get to chalatz. That's what we said. So, bein b'tchila, bein be'emtza, bein b'sof. There's no difference when we said that after. Let's just talk about chalitza. We'll talk about bia in a second. But we're really talking about this bia. I'm sorry, chalitza, and we're taking out the parentheses for now. That once you did chalitza, it's full strength, and nothing can be after that. Bein betchila, bein be'emtza, bein b'sof. There's no difference if the chalitza was done before anything else was done, or if it was done in the middle, means after something was done and something's done after, or b'sof, that it was done after everything was done, then the chalitza was done. Once the chalitza was done, it's a full strength chalitza. Where can we find on the chart that we spoke about something like this? We're going back to the first chart. We're going back to the case of chalitza. This is the case of chalitza b'tchila. This case where chalitza was first. This is called chalitza b'tchila, right? Chalitza was first. And what do we say? Ein acha chalitza klum. Once you did chalitza, the second thing that you did doesn't have any effect. How about if it wasn't b'tchila? How about if it was, let's say, mamar and chalitza? Or here you had get and chalitza. So here we had a get and chalitza. We said, okay, don't need anything else. Fine, that's for sure, because the get doesn't affect the chalitza in a bad way.
We said that the rabbis, if there's a mamar, the rabbis want to get.
Right,
Get rid of
and
mamar.
right.
So
And
this doesn't seem-
so this Mishnah seems to say that ein acha chalitza klum, even if it would be not the first. It seems to argue. I think. I'm not sure. We have to see it further, maybe. But that's what it seems to say. Let's see what he says. That would have said chalatz ein acha chalitza klum. There's no difference if it was first, like the case we just mentioned, chalitza was first, or if it was in the middle or at the end. I don't see the difference between middle and end so much. It means that it wasn't first. But be'ila, b'zman shi b'tchila ein achrei klum. Be'emtza v'sof yesh achrei klum. Bia was first, so then ein achrei klum. Like we said, if the bia was first, it's a full yibam. We don't care what was done afterwards. But if it was, and here, yesh achrei klum. Where do we have bia over here? This case, get and baal. So yesh achrei klum. Here we said that the bia is not the end of the story. Here we say that we don't let him stay married. You need a chalitza afterwards. The Mishnah said that by bia, yesh achrei. Something that even though the bia, so here that's with the Mishnah. Where's the Mishnah? I'm sorry. Bia, if it's the beginning, then ein achrei klum. But if it's not in the beginning, so then yesh achrei klum. Rav Nechemia Omer, achas bila, v'achas chalitza, bein b'tchila, bein be'emtza, bein b'sof, ein achrei klum.
Oh, but no, I can also think of an exception. We had mamar and bia. That's great.
No, but that's nothing. That's not saying no. It's not ruined at all by the bia. If anything, it's enhancing.
So it's not.
That's enhancing the bia. It's not at all contradicting the bia. If anything, the Rambam even says that he's supposed to do it that way. So it's not interfering at all.
Okay.
So what do we have? According to, he says that bia also ein achrei klum. L'chor is arguing on this case. Rav Nechemia L'chor is arguing on this case. We have a problem that by the chalitza, we said the chalitza here, mamar chalitza, we see you do need to get. And Leib Yaakov asked that if you say that ein acha chalitza klum, even if it's besof, so then how come you need to get? I guess I made a mistake over here. I think so. I'm not sure, but I'll come back to this. I don't know enough.
Okay, but in the last case. I
In the
thought
last
that-
case, here's a machlokas. If we say en
Well, I
achabia
know, I
klum,
thought that's what he's talking about.
so Ibn Nechemia
That's the
says
machlokas.
that the Tanakama says that yesh
Oh, it's a
achabia klum.
machlokas.
There's a machlokas in the Mishnah, right? Tanakama says abila if it's betchila en achabia klum, beemsa yesh achabia klum. That's good with the Mishnah. Ibn Nechemia says no. I'd argue on that case that
Yeah.
even if bia was not in the beginning, once there's bia en achabia klum. So he would argue on this case. What? What?
Then that's it, no get, no cleating, no nothing.
It could be that he holds that he's allowed to stay married to her. I'm not sure if he, or he means, or the issue is if you need a chalitza. Maybe the point is that you need a chalitza. Maybe the point is not that if you need a get for that mamar, but the chalitza is a good chalitza. The chalitza, which was maybe this will answer your question. I didn't see Rashi even. I'm not coming with the knowledge, but it could be when he says that ena chalitza klum means that the chalitza is a good chalitza. It means you don't need the chalitza was a good chalitza.
You don't need
Here, the bia we say is not a good bia, and you need a chalitza. The bia, we're not happy with the bia that was done after a get, and you have to, and Rabbi Nechemia will say, "Ein achabia klum," even if it was that once he did a bia, so we'll make him get divorced maybe, but we're not going to say that you need a chalitza also. So I'm not sure about this point. I have to come back tomorrow, but more or less that's what the issue we're talking about is. So in general, everybody holds. This I didn't see machlokes.
You're limiting it to either Bial or Chalitza. Yivam or Chalitza.
Even Machlis had a real way to do it. And
And if when there says there's nothing after, they mean there's either no Chalitza or.
right.
They don't, so they're not talking about Mama or.
Right. Maybe they're not talking about if we and also maybe they're not talking about that we make him give a get for the ma'amar. Maybe that's not his. Maybe his issue that Eina Chalitza Klum doesn't mean that you don't make him do anything. Maybe we do make him give a get for the ma'amar. But the Chalitza was a good Chalitza.
Yeah.
But here the bia is not. That's machlokes. If the bia was a good enough bia that you still need a Chalitza after that.
That Rabbi Nechemia.
Rabbi Nechemia will say that you don't need a Chalitza.
uh-huh.
But I'm not sure. I'm still shaky over there. But in general, the thing that everybody does seem to agree to is that if the chalitza was first, and the beer was first, then surely nothing after that. It's a closed deal after that. And the Mishnah explained how it could be talking about with one man, one woman, one man and two women, one woman and two men. All these how it will play out. And the machlokes cases we had was about Rabbi Nechemia, about this case over here about get and then beer. If is the beer a good bia, means it's a good yibum, and or do you need a chalitza after that? Since it was called maybe called like a bia psula, the fact that it wasn't yibum the way it's supposed to be done, the fact that it was after a get, maybe we don't not satisfied with that yibum and you need chalitza maybe. And also we had the beginning, we had the other case, the Rabbi Gamliel, that says by the case of two men or two women, ain't get a get and in ma'amar, and we'll see more tomorrow about that. Okay, Yashikar, everybody. Hope that it was
Wow,
somewhat clear.
very clear.